So the screwworm that we've just heard about could be a really big threat to America's cattle and really to our entire food situation. So a lot of people want to know, will this homemade fly trap that I make that I've caught millions of flies with actually work against the screwworm? So the answer to that question is yes and no. And it depends on what you think that this trap is for. So no trap in itself is going to eliminate all flies completely. You should actually have multiple stages to take care of the issue. I want to tell you why this trap right here could be one of the most beneficial things against the screwworm fly, but in a different way. The horn fly and face flies and many different flies that attack the cattle specifically that this trap has been catching are attracted to dead and dying things. So we'll bait this trap right here with liver, and then as the flies die, the actual dead flies will continue to keep this trap baited just simply because of the rotting smell. That right there in itself, and the heat that the barrel builds up from the radiating sun, is actually going to help to attract those flies and bring them in. The difference in a horn fly or a face fly or any of those other types of flies and the screwworm fly is the screwworm fly is specifically attracted to fresh flesh or fresh opened wounds, fresh blood. There's actually, from what I understand, I've been doing some research on this, there's actually a little bit of an acidic smell that is excreted from the wound, from an open wound of any type of cattle. Like if you castrate a cow or a pig or anything like that, or even when you shear a sheep, you get little micro cuts all over that sheep. And that smell specifically attracts the horn fly, from what I understand. And so, will this trap work? Yes, it will, especially using the liver. But as that liver starts to decompose, it's not going to work super well. So the way that this fly trap is going to actually help you against the screwworm flies is the horn flies and the face flies will start to aggravate the face fly will start to aggravate around the eyes, and they'll actually open wounds. They'll start to aggravate the cows over time. And so this trap right here, this has been one of the most effective tools against flies that I've used, is this trap. And so being able to catch those flies in large quantities, especially, I mean, these barrels don't cost that much. So you can have quite a few of these. It's hooked to a sled, so I can easily pull this around with a four-wheeler. I can keep one with my pigs specifically. I can keep one with the cattle, and I can actually drag one along with our cattle, depending on what pasture they're in. And so because of that, that control of those large amount of flies, that reduces the amount of fly pressure on the cattle, that's going to reduce the chances of having those little micro cuts and things like that, because it doesn't take very much blood from an animal to put off that smell that's going to attract the horn fly. Now, here's something interesting. The government actually has monitor traps. So they're traps specifically to monitor areas to see if the horn flies are starting to show up in that area. And that trap is baited with a certain scent, and that's the scent is the scent that's put off from an open wound. So this trap by itself is not going to trap huge amounts of those screwworm flies. You will trap some of these, but what this might do better, it might tell you whether or not you're starting to get that fly problem in your area, because you should actually be cleaning this trap out. You should have a little fish net, pull the flies out and throw them out. And as you do, if you recognize those flies in this trap, that's going to tell you whether or not you're starting to get those flies in your area. Because if your cattle don't have open wounds, if they don't have these problems right now, you may be able to actually catch this problem and find out whether or not you have it in your area and be part of the solution for all of us if you can actually trap that fly before they become a problem. So I do not believe, based on my research, that this is going to trap as many of the screwworm flies as it is your horn flies and your face flies and things like that. But I do believe that this is going to be a really effective trap to help all of us to control the fly problem, period. But I also think that it can help you with the screwworm problem because of its direct benefit of removing the fly pressure from the cattle themselves. So one of the biggest things that you can do against a screwworm fly is simply by keeping uh, open wounds from happening. And that is through controlling flies and things like that. But it's also, if we begin, we don't have it here in our area yet, thank goodness. But if you begin to have that problem in your area, you might go ahead and eliminate castration. Don't do any castrating. Try not to do anything that's going to cause open wounds in any way. If you're someone that shear your sheep, I'm not sure what you can do. I would love to see a product, and someone may have this product, but I'd love to see a product where you could actually spray something on a wound, like they have some sprays you can put on wounds that will clean them. It'd be nice to see a product that you could spray it on an open wound that would actually blunt that smell or get that smell away. And that would, I think that would be more effective against that screwworm fly than anything. But with that being said, the answer to the question is this is not going to be as effective as it is for horn flies, but I think in the long run, this is going to be still an excellent tool against those screwworm flies. I'm going to drop a link in the description where I built this trap right here. I think that everyone should have these traps, especially now and especially in this changing world, as it seems like that things are starting to change. Some of the old remedies that we've had before don't seem to work quite as well. I think it's really good to try to get different types of things that could help. So check that link out. Go watch that video. I think it's going to help you. I think everybody should have one of these traps. I do think it is going to help, but I do not think that this is going to be as effective to the screwworm fly. You need to be monitoring your cattle and making sure that you don't have any open wounds. And if you see the screwworm fly as a problem, then you need to report it and you need to take care of that quickly before it's a problem. So going out, checking your cattle, and keeping your cattle healthy is probably going to be the most important against all of it. Thank y'all so much.